When I speak of relaxation, I am not merely referring to a physical state, though that is indeed part of it. I speak of a profound mental relaxation, a letting go of all resistance, all doubt, all anxiety about the how and when of your manifestation. This mental relaxation is the fertile soil in which the seed of your desire can take root and flourish. Consider for a moment the process of falling asleep. You cannot force yourself to sleep. The harder you try, the more elusive sleep becomes. It is only when you completely let go, when you surrender to the natural state of rest, that sleep gently embraces you. Manifestation follows precisely the same law. The harder you strive, the more you push against the very thing you seek. The Bible tells us, "Be still and know that I am God." This is not merely poetic language. It is a practical instruction for manifestation. To be still is to quiet the questioning, doubting mind. It is to silence the voice that asks, "How would this come to pass? When I see evidence, what must I do to make it happen?" These questions born of anxiety and doubt create resistance in your consciousness, and whatever you resist persists. Let me share with you a simple truth. Your natural state is one of wholeness, abundance, and fulfillment. It is only your thinking that obscures this truth. Your thoughts create barriers between you and your desires. So when I tell you to relax, I am inviting you to return to your natural state of being, where manifestation happens effortlessly, as naturally as breathing. I have often told the story of a dear friend who desired a specific home for his family. For months he affirmed his ownership of this home, visualized living in it, and took every action he believed necessary to acquire it. And yet the home remained outside his reach. It was only when he reached a point of complete surrender, when he said to himself, "It is done. The home is mine in imagination, and therefore it must materialize in my world," that the circumstances rearranged themselves. And within a week he was moving his family to that very home. What changed? Not his desire, not his worthiness, not even his technique. What changed was his state of consciousness. He moved from a state of striving to a state of knowing, from effort to relaxation, from seeking to finding. And in that shift, the entire universe conspired to deliver his desire. Many of you have experienced this phenomenon in your own lives, though perhaps you did not recognize it at the time. Think of something you once desperately wanted but eventually released, perhaps deciding it wasn't so important after all. And then, to your surprise, it appeared in your life seemingly out of nowhere. This is the law of relaxation at work. The great mystics throughout history have understood this principle. Jesus taught, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Note the tense of the verb, not believe that you will receive it, but believe that you have received it. This is the secret of relaxation and manifestation. You relax into the consciousness of already having that which you desire. When you can truly convince yourself that you already possess your desire, a curious thing happens. The nervous, anxious energy that once surrounded your wanting dissolves completely. You stop looking for signs and evidences. You stop manipulating circumstances. You stop worrying about the when and how. And paradoxically, it is precisely this cessation of effort that allows your desire to flow into your experience. Now, some of you may be thinking, "But Wayne, if I relax completely, if I believe I already have my desire, won't I cease to take necessary action?" This is a common misconception. True relaxation does not lead to inaction. It leads to inspired action. When you are relaxed in the knowledge that your desire is already yours, you naturally take the steps that align with that reality. But these steps are not taken from a place of desperate striving. They are taken from a place of joyful expectancy. I want you to understand something fundamental about the nature of your being. You are not merely human, you are divine. Within you dwells the very power that created the universe. The same consciousness that holds the stars in their courses flows through your veins. When I speak of relaxation, I am inviting you to relax into this divine aspect of yourself, to surrender the limited human perspective and embrace your true identity as a created force in this universe. The great Shakespeare wrote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players." If this is true, and I assure you it is, then you are not only an actor in this grand play of life, you are also the author, the director, and the audience. You write the script of your life through your imaginal acts, but to write effectively, you must relax into your role as author and trust in the power of your creative work. Let me guide you through a practical approach to this relaxation. When you have a desire, be it for love, wealth, health, or any other expression of abundance, Your first step is not to strain toward it, but to become still. Find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and take several deep, conscious breaths. Feel the tension melting from your body with each exhalation. Now turn your attention inward to the quiet sanctuary of your mind. In this relaxed state, bring to mind your desire, but do not see it as something distant, something to be achieved in some future time. See it as already accomplished. Feel the reality of it as a present fact. If it is a home you desire, walk through its rooms in your imagination. Touch the walls, smell the air, hear the sounds of this home. If it is a relationship, feel the loving presence of your partner beside you. Experience the emotions that this fulfilled desire brings: the joy, the gratitude, the sense of rightness and completion. Now, here is the crucial step. Maintain this feeling of fulfillment as you open your eyes and go about your day. This is what I mean by relaxation. It is not a momentary exercise. It is a persistent state of consciousness. You relax into the knowingness that what you have experienced in imagination is now unfolding in your outer world by a law of certainous gravity. But some of you may say, Wayne, I have tried this and still my desire has not manifested. To you I say, examine the quality of your relaxation. Are you truly relaxed in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, or is there still a subtle anxiety, a hidden doubt that creates tension in your being? True relaxation is complete. It leaves no room for what-ifs and maybes. It is an absolute surrender to the reality of your imaginal act. I recall a woman who attended my lecture some years ago. She had been visualizing finance funders for months, repeating affirmations, creating vision boards, doing everything she believed necessary to manifest wealth, and yet her financial situation remained unchanged. When she came to me, I asked her a simple question. When you imagine your wealth, do you feel the relief that financial freedom would bring? She thought carefully and admitted that even in her imaginal scenes of wealth, there was an undercurrent of anxiety, a fear that it might not be sustained. I suggested that she forget about the money entirely and instead focus on the feeling of relief, the feeling of security, the feeling of knowing that all her needs were abundantly met. I asked her to relax into this feeling completely, to make it her dwelling place. 3 weeks later, she returned to tell me that she had received an unexpected inheritance from a distant relative she had never met. The amount was precisely what she needed to clear her debts and establish the financial stability she had been seeking. The manifestation came when she relaxed into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, rather than straining toward a future goal. This principle applies to every area of your life. If you seek health, relax into the consciousness of being vibrantly well. If you seek a loving relationship, relax into the feeling of being deeply loved and understood. If you seek career success, relax into the satisfaction of achievement and recognition. Whatever you desire, it is the feeling of the wish fulfilled that draws it into your life, and that feeling can only be sustained in a state of relaxation. The Bible speaks of the Sabbath, the day of rest, as holy. This is not merely a religious observance, it is a metaphysical truth. Creation is followed by rest. God did not strive to create the universe. He declared, "Let there be life," and then rested in the certainty that His word would not return void. You, being made in the image of God, create in the same way. You declare your desire and imagination and then rest in the certainty of its fulfillment. Yet I find that many of you struggle with this rest. You believe that manifestation requires constant effort, constant visualization, constant affirmation. Nothing could be further from the truth. Once you have planted the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your imagination, your task is to let it grow, not to dig it up every day to see if it has sprouted. Relaxation is trust. It is faith made manifest. It is the lived experience of the biblical assurance that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. When you truly relax into the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you are demonstrating faith in its most powerful form. Now let me address a question that often arises in our discussions. Never you've asked, how can I relax when the circumstances of my life seem to contradict my desire at every turn? How can I feel abundant when my bank account is empty? How can I feel love when I am alone? How can I feel healthy when my body is in pain? This is perhaps the greatest challenge in the art of manifestation, and it is precisely why relaxation is so crucial. To manifest contrary to existing circumstances requires a special quality of relaxation. A relaxation so deep that it transcends the evidence of the senses. It is a relaxation into the reality of imagination over the reality of the physical world. Remember, the physical world you see now is but the outpicturing of past imaginings, both conscious and unconscious. It is the harvest of seeds planted in the past, but at any moment you can plant new seeds through your deliberate use of imagination. And if you can relax into the reality of these new seeds, if you can give them your attention and your belief, they will inevitably bear fruit in your experience. I often tell the story of a man who came to me in desperate financial straits. His business was failing, his debts were mounting, and he could see no way out of his predicament. I suggested that each night before sleep, he should construct a scene that would imply his financial problems were solved. Perhaps a conversation with his accountant confirming his robust financial position, or the feeling of looking at bank statements showing abundant funds. The man followed my advice but reported back that, as soon as he created these imaginal scenes, his mind would flood with contrary thoughts with all the reasons why his situation could not improve. This is where relaxation becomes essential. I advised him to acknowledge these contrary thoughts, but not to engage with them. Instead, I suggested he say to himself, "These thoughts belong to the old state of consciousness. I am now relaxing into a new state where financial abundance is my reality." With practice, he learned to relax through the barrage of negative thoughts and to dwell in the feeling of his wish fulfilled. And as he did so, opportunities began to appear in his business. A new client, a chance meeting with an investor, a brilliant idea for a new product line, all seemingly coincidental events that together transformed his financial situation completely. This is the power of relaxation in manifestation. It allows you to transcend the limiting beliefs and contrary evidence that would otherwise keep you bound to unwanted circumstances. By relaxing into the reality of your desire, you open a doorway through which that desire can enter your life. But relaxation is not merely a technique for manifestation, it is a way of life. It is the recognition that struggle and strain are never necessary, that the universe operates on the principle of effortless creation. Look at nature. The oak tree does not strain to grow from the acorn. It unfolds naturally according to its inherent pattern. The seasons do not struggle to change. They flow one into another in perfect rhythm. Even the stars and planets move through the cosmos with a grace that belies their immense power. You as a human being are part of this natural order. Your desires, when they arise from the depths of your being, are meant to be fulfilled as naturally as a flower turns toward the sun. The only barrier to this natural fulfillment is your own tension, your own resistance, your own disbelief. So I say to you, relax. Relax not as a temporary respite from striving, but as a permanent state of being. Relax into the knowledge that you are divine, that you are powerful beyond measure, that you contain within yourself all that you could ever desire. Imagine for a moment that you are floating in a calm, clear ocean. The water supports you effortlessly. You do not need to struggle to stay afloat. This is the nature of your relationship with the universe. It supports you completely, abundantly, lovingly. Your only task is to relax into this support, to trust it implicitly, to know that you are forever held in the arms of infinite abundance. From this place of perfect relaxation, you will find that manifestation becomes effortless. Your desires flow into your experience with a naturalness that may astonish you. Opportunities appear, circumstances align, people enter your life, all in service to your expansion and fulfillment. Now, some of you may wonder about the role of action in this process. If relaxation is the key ask, does that mean I should simply wait for my desires to manifest without taking any action? Not at all. Action is an integral part of the manifestation process, but the quality of your action is determined by your state of consciousness. When you take action from a state of tension, from a belief that you must make your desire happen through sheer force of will, that action tends to be scattered, desperate, and ultimately ineffective. But when you take action from a state of relaxation, from the consciousness of already having your desire, that action is inspired, joyful, and precisely calibrated to bring your desire into manifestation. Think of it this way: when you are relaxed in the knowledge that your desire is already yours in the realm of imagination, you naturally step into behaviors that align with that reality. You speak differently, carry yourself differently, make decisions differently. These subtle shifts in your being send ripples through the fabric of reality, rearranging circumstances in ways that may seem miraculous, but are in fact perfectly lawful. I knew a young actress who had been struggling for years to land significant roles. She had taken all the conventional actions, attending auditions, networking, improving her craft, always from a place of desperate wanting, of feeling incomplete without the success she saw. I suggested that she experiment with relaxation with the feeling that she was already a successful sought-after actress. Every night before sleep, she would construct a scene in which a director was praising her performance, in which audiences were moved by her work, in which she felt the deep satisfaction of expressing her art at the highest level. And every morning, she would carry this feeling with her throughout the day, relaxing into it so completely that it became her dominant state of being. Within 2 months, she had landed a leading role in a production that would later earn her critical acclaim. The director, interestingly enough, told her that what had set her apart in the audition was her relaxed confidence, her natural embodiment of the character, as if the role already belonged to her. This is the paradox of manifestation through relaxation. By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, by relaxing into the consciousness of already having what you desire, you naturally take the precise actions that will bring that desire into physical reality. But these actions do not feel like effort. They feel like the natural expression of who you are. Now I must address a delicate point, one that troubles many on this path of conscious creation. Some of you have held a desire for so long, have visualized and affirmed and taken action toward it for so many years, that the very thought of that desire now brings feelings of frustration and doubt rather than joy and expectancy. If this describes your situation, I have a radical suggestion. Let the desire go. This may seem counterintuitive, even frightening, but never you protest this desire is so important to me. How can I simply let it go? I am not suggesting that you abandon your desire. I am suggesting that you abandon your attachment to it, your anxious striving for it, your belief that you cannot be happy without it. In truth, what you seek is not the specific form of your desire, but the feeling you believe that fulfilled desire will bring you the feeling of love, of security, of freedom, of joy. And these feelings are available to you now, independent of any external circumstance. When you relax into these feelings, when you allow yourself to experience them fully in the present moment, you open the door to manifestations that may exceed your specific desire in ways you cannot currently imagine. I recall a man who had been visualizing a specific job promotion for over 2 years. He had the title, the salary, the office, all clearly defined in his imagination, yet the promotion never came. When he sought my counsel, I suggested that he release his attachment to this specific outcome and instead focus on the feeling of professional fulfillment and abundance that the promotion represented. He took my advice, and a curious thing happened. 3 weeks later, he was offered a position with another company, a position that offered greater responsibility, higher compensation, and more creative freedom than the promotion he had been seeking. Had he remained fixated on his specific desire, he might have missed this greater opportunity. By relaxing into the essence of his desire rather than his form, he allowed the universe to deliver its highest expression. This brings us to a profound truth about manifestation. The universe may have a far grander vision for your life than you currently hold. When you relax your grip on the specific form of your desire, you open yourself to possibilities that exceed your current imagination. You allow the infinite intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos to work on your behalf in ways that your limited human perspective cannot foresee. Relaxation in this context becomes an act of supreme trust. It is saying to the universe, I know what I desire, and I have felt the reality of it in my imagination. Now, I relax in the certainty that this desire or something even better is flowing into my experience by a perfect law. Let me share with you a practice that I have found immensely powerful in cultivating this quality of relaxation. Each night as you lie in bed before sleep, review your day from the perspective of your wish fulfilled. See yourself having moved through the day as the person who already has what you desire. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the sense of completeness that this state brings. Then allow yourself to drift into sleep with these feelings. Sleep is a profound state of relaxation, and the thoughts and feelings that accompany you into sleep have a special power to impress themselves upon your subconscious mind. By consistently falling asleep in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you are programming your subconscious to accept this state as your reality. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is imagined and what is experienced through the physical senses. To your subconscious, the vivid imaginal act charged with emotion is as real as any physical event, and since the subconscious is the creative power that shapes your reality, what it accepts as real must inevitably be expressed in your outer world. This practice of falling asleep in the state of your wish fulfilled combines two powerful principles, relaxation and persistence. The relaxation of sleep allows your desire to bypass the critical faculty of the conscious mind and to impress itself directly upon the subconscious, and by repeating this practice night after night, you build a persistent state of consciousness that must by law manifest in your experience. But what of your waking hours? How do you maintain the state of relaxed awareness of your wish fulfilled as you move through your day? Confronted by circumstances that seem to contradict your desire, this is where the art of mental discipline comes into play. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself slipping into old patterns of thought and feeling anxiety about your desire, doubt in its fulfillment, frustration at its seeming absence, gently bring your attention back to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Do not fight against the negative thoughts. Simply redirect your attention to the reality you wish to experience. This is not denial or avoidance. It is the conscious selection of the state of consciousness you wish to invent. Just as you might change the channel on a television when a program no longer interests you, you can change the channel in your consciousness when you find yourself tuned to stations that do not serve your highest good. With practice, you will find that you can maintain the feeling of your wish fulfilled with increasing ease and duration. What once required conscious effort becomes your natural state of being, and as this state stabilizes in your consciousness, you will see the outer circumstances of your life begin to reshape themselves to match your inner reality. Now a word about time. Many of you become anxious about when your desire will manifest. You create your imaginal scene, you feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, and then you begin to wonder, when will I see it in my physical world? How long must I wait? This concern with time is one of the most persistent barriers to effective manifestation. Time, as you experience it in the physical world, does not exist in the realm of imagination. In imagination, all possibilities exist simultaneously in an eternal now. When you enter the state of your wish fulfilled in imagination, you are stepping outside of time as you know it. You are entering a dimension where your desire is already a reality, where the question of when is meaningless. The manifestation of your desire in the physical world, which exists in time, will occur at the perfect moment, not according to your anxious timetable, but according to the perfect orchestration of universal forces. Your task is not to specify or worry about the when, but to remain faithful to the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to relax in the certainty that what is real in your imagination must, by an infallible law, become real in your experience. I have seen desires manifest in an instant, and I have seen them take years to unfold. The variable is not the validity of the law, but the individual's ability to maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to relax completely into the new state of consciousness, despite the evidence of the senses. Remember, the physical world you see now is the result of past states of consciousness. There is often a lag between the establishment of a new state in consciousness and its full expression in the physical world. This lag is not a failure of the law, but a natural feature of the manifestation process. The seed must first take root before the plant can emerge from the soil. During this interval between your inner assumption and its outer manifestation, your faith will be tested. This is the time when relaxation becomes most crucial and most challenging. Can you relax in the knowledge of your wish fulfilled when all external evidence suggests its absence? Can you maintain the feeling of having what you desire when your senses report that you do not have it? This is the test of true mastery in the art of conscious creation. I am reminded of a biblical story that beautifully illustrates this principle. After a severe rain, the prophet Elijah declared that rain would come. He then sent his servant to look toward the sea for signs of the approaching rain. The servant returned saying he saw nothing. 6 times Elijah sent him, and 6 times he returned with the same report, no sign of rain. But Elijah was relaxed in the knowledge that rain was coming. He had declared it in consciousness, and he knew that his word, backed by faith, could not return void. He sent his servant the 7th time, and at last the servant reported, seeing a small cloud no larger than a man's hand rising from the sea. From this tiny beginning came a great rainstorm that ended the drought. This story contains a profound lesson in manifestation. Elijah did not become anxious or doubtful when the rain did not immediately appear. He remained relaxed in his knowing, confident that what he had decreed in consciousness must manifest in reality. And so it did, albeit not instantly, not all at once, but beginning with the smallest of signs that grew into the fullness of his desire. Your manifestations may follow a similar pattern. They often begin with small signs, subtle shifts in your circumstances that are the harbingers of greater change to come. Look for these signs with appreciative attention, but do not become anxious if they are not immediately apparent. Continue to relax in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, knowing that the universe is already in motion, already rearranging itself to bring your desire into manifestation. Let us now consider another aspect of relaxation and manifestation, the release of resistance. Resistance takes many forms: doubt, fear, worry, attachment to specific outcomes, concern about the how of manifestation. All of these create tension in your consciousness, a subtle pushing against the very thing you wish to attract. The paradox of manifestation is that the more you can release your grip on your desire, the more freely it can flow into your experience. This does not mean abandoning your desire. It means releasing the anxious energy that surrounds it, the fear that might not manifest, the doubt in your worthiness to receive it. I often use the metaphor of a radio to explain this principle. Your consciousness is like a radio receiver capable of tuning to countless frequencies or states. The state of tension and anxiety about your desire is one frequency. The state of relaxed assurance that your desire is already yours is another. The universe, like a cosmic broadcaster, is transmitting all possibilities simultaneously. The station you receive, the reality you experience, depends entirely on the frequency to which you are tuned. Relaxation allows you to tune to the frequency of your wish fulfilled. It clears the static of doubt and fear, allowing the signal of your desire to come through with perfect clarity. When you are perfectly relaxed in the knowledge that your desire is already yours in consciousness, you are perfectly tuned to the frequency of its manifestation. I have spoken much about the mechanics of manifestation through relaxation, but I would be remiss if I did not address the spiritual dimension of this practice. For relaxation, at its deepest level, is not merely a technique for acquiring desires. It is a state of communion with your divine nature. When you relax completely, when you release all tension and resistance, you open yourself to the flow of divine consciousness that is your true essence. In this state of openness, you recognize that you are not separate from the source of all creation. You are one with it. Your desires are not external to this divine flow. They arise from within it as natural expressions of your evolving consciousness. From this perspective, manifestation is not about getting what you want. It is about aligning with what is already yours by virtue of your oneness with the divine. It is about removing the barriers of limited thinking that have obscured your awareness of the abundance that is your birthright. The great mystics and spiritual teachers throughout history have pointed to this truth. Jesus said, "It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." Buddha taught that desire and suffering arise from the illusion of separation. The Upanishads declare the art that affirming the essential unity of the individual soul with the universal consciousness. When you relax into the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you are doing more than employing a manifestation technique. You are recognizing your divine nature as a creative force in the universe. You are claiming your rightful place as a co-creator with the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all of existence. This recognition brings with it a profound sense of peace, a deep knowing that all is well, that all of your needs are abundantly met, that you lack nothing. From this place of inner abundance, external manifestations flow naturally and effortlessly, not as acquisitions, but as expressions of your expanding consciousness. And here we arrive at perhaps the most beautiful aspect of manifestation through relaxation. As you master this art, you discover that the true joy lies not in acquiring the objects of your desire, but in the state of consciousness from which manifestation flows. You find that the feeling of your wish fulfilled is itself the prize more precious than any external manifestation could ever be. For what is it that you truly seek in your desires? Is it not love, peace, joy, fulfillment, the feeling of wholeness and completion? These states of being are available to you now, independent of external circumstances. When you relax into these states, when you claim them as your present reality rather than future possibilities, you are already in possession of the essence of your desire. This is not to devalue the external manifestations of your desires. The beautiful home, the loving relationship, the successful career, these are wonderful expressions of your expanding consciousness to be enjoyed and appreciated. But they are not the source of your happiness. They are the fruits of it. The source is within you. In your ability to relax into the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you've fulfilled yourself complete and abundant now. As we draw toward the close of our time together, I want to leave you with a simple practice that encapsulates everything I have shared about relaxation and manifestation. It is a practice you can return to whenever you feel yourself becoming tense or anxious about your desires. Whenever you notice yourself straining toward manifestation rather than relaxing into it, find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes and take several deep conscious breaths, feeling the tension melting from your body with each exhalation. Now bring to mind a desire that is important to you, something you have been wanting to manifest in your life. See this desire is already fulfilled. Experience it with all of your senses. Feel the emotions that its fulfillment brings, the joy, the gratitude, the sense of rightness and completion. Allow these feelings to saturate your being to become your dominant state of consciousness. Now, with your eyes still closed, say to yourself, this desire is already mine in consciousness, and therefore it must manifest in my experience. I need not make it happen. I need only relax into the feeling of its reality. I release all anxiety, all doubt, all concern about when and how it will appear. I know that what is real in consciousness must inevitably become real in experience. Feel the truth of these words. Feel the relaxation that comes with releasing all effort, all striving, all need to control the manifestation process. Feel yourself merging with the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, becoming one with the state you desire to express. Then, when you are ready, open your eyes and carry this feeling with you throughout your day. Return to it whenever you notice yourself slipping into old patterns of tension and worry. Make it your dwelling place, your home base, the foundation of your being. As you practice this relaxation into the consciousness of your wish fulfilled, you will discover that manifestation becomes increasingly effortless. Your desires will flow into your experience with a naturalness that may astonish you. And more importantly, you will discover a peace and joy in the journey itself, a contentment that transcends any specific manifestation. For in truth, the greatest manifestation is not any external thing or circumstance. It is the awakening to your divine nature, to your oneness with the creative power of the universe. It is the recognition that you are not a limited human being seeking to acquire desires, but an infinite spiritual being expressing desires as natural extensions of your expanding consciousness. So I say to you, relax. Relax into the knowledge of who you truly are. Relax into the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Relax into the certainty that all your desire is already yours in consciousness and must, by infallible law, become yours in experience. In this perfect relaxation, in this surrender to your divine nature, you will find that you can indeed manifest anything you desire, not through striving, not through forcing, not through manipulating circumstances, but through the gentle power of your consciousness aligned with the infinite creative force of the universe. The wisdom of the ages is captured in the simple truth, be still and know. Be still and know that you are divine. Be still and know that your word is creative. Be still and know that your desires are already fulfilled any place where fulfillment has meaning and consciousness. From this stillness, from this perfect relaxation, all things are possible. The universe itself bends to accommodate your consciousness to express the state you have assumed. This is the law, the promise, and the gift. Accept it, embrace it, live it, and watch as your world transforms to reflect the magnificence that you are. My dear friends, as we conclude our time together, remember that the journey of conscious creation is not about forcing change, but about allowing transformation. It is not about making things happen, but about letting them unfold. It is not about acquiring what you lack, but about expressing what you already are. Relax to this journey. Trust the process. Know that your desire is born of your divine nature, already moving toward manifestation by a law as certain as any individual physical universe. Your task is not to force their arrival, but to prepare a welcome for them through your relaxed, confident expectancy. And know that I am with you in consciousness, holding the light of this truth for you until you can hold it fully for yourself. For we are one in the divine mind, expressions of the same infinite consciousness, travelers on the same journey of awakening and expansion. Relax, my friends. Relax and know that all is well, that all is unfolding perfectly, that all of your desires are finding their way to you even now. In this relaxation, in this perfect surrender to your divine nature, you hold the key to manifesting anything and everything you desire. The very fact that you are here tonight suggests that something within you knows there is more. Something in you recognizes that the state of consciousness in which you dwell is not the final chapter of your story. And you are absolutely right, for no state is final unless you decree it to be so. The magnificent truth I wish to share with you tonight is that freedom, complete and total freedom, is your natural inheritance. It is the fundamental reality of your being, and the path to claiming this freedom is not outside of you, but within the divine operation of your own wonderful human imagination. Let me share with you a profound truth that changed my life and has transformed the lives of countless others who have tested it and found it to be the one grand law of life. Consciousness is the one and only reality. Everything that you perceive, everything that makes up your world is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. The world that seems to hold you captive is but a reflection of your own states of consciousness made visible. The prison that appears to constrain you exists nowhere but in your own imagination. When you truly grasp this principle, not merely intellectually, but in the very depths of your being, you will understand that the key to your freedom has been in your possession all along. For if consciousness is the only reality and your world is simply consciousness objectified, then to change your world, you need only change your consciousness. This is the divine art of assumption. By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you can transform the shadow world of limitation into the substance of freedom. Many people come to me and say, Nebel, I understand these principles. I grasp them intellectually, but still I feel stuck. I cannot seem to break free from my circumstances. And to this I reply, the feeling of being stuck persists because you have not yet made real to yourself the truth that you are pure consciousness, pure awareness, and that this consciousness is the only reality. You have not fully accepted that the world and all its circumstances are mere reflections, mere shadows of your own magnificent inner states. Consider for a moment what it means to be stuck. To be stuck implies that there is something external to you, something outside of your control that is restraining your movement, limiting your options, confining your existence. But I tell you with absolute certainty, there is nothing outside of consciousness. There is nothing external to you, for you are consciousness, and consciousness is all there is. The walls you perceive around you, the limitations you feel so acutely exist only because you have granted them reality in your consciousness. Tonight, I invite you to make a revolutionary discovery. You are not stuck because of external circumstances. You are experiencing the state of being stuck because you are dwelling in that state in consciousness. And just as you can enter a state, you can exit it. Just as you can assume one state of consciousness, you can assume another. This is the miracle of your being the power to choose the state in which you will dwell. Let me share with you a simple yet profound practice that will begin to dissolve the illusion of being stuck. Right now, wherever you are, close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath and relax your body completely. Now, in your imagination, see yourself as you would be if you were completely free. Feel the feeling of that freedom. What would it feel like to move without restriction? How would you carry yourself if all limitations were gone? What thoughts would fill your mind if you knew yourself to be absolutely free? Dwell in this state. Saturate yourself with the feeling of freedom. Make it so real, so vivid, that for a moment you forget the old state of being stuck. In that moment of complete absorption in the state of freedom, you have planted a seed in the fertile soil of your consciousness, and what you plant must grow. What you assume must become, but perhaps you're thinking, I've tried this before and nothing changed. To this, I would remind you of a principle I often emphasize. The time track is a device of the human mind. In the realm of consciousness, in the realm of true causation, there is no time. The seed planted in consciousness will blossom in your world when the conditions are right, when the bridge of incidence has been crossed. Your role is not to make the seed grow. Your role is not to force the manifestation. Your role is simply to plant the seed through the art of assumption and to remain faithful to that assumption despite all evidence to the contrary. For remember, the evidence of your senses only tells you what is. It cannot tell you what will be. And what will be is determined not by what is, but by the state you occupy in consciousness. In my own life, I have tested this law countless times, and it has never failed me. I recall a time when I felt completely constrained by financial limitations. All the evidence of my senses told me that I was trapped in poverty, that there was no way out. But instead of accepting this as my final state, I began to assume the feeling of wealth and abundance. I would fall asleep each night, feeling the joy and relief of financial freedom. I would walk through my days carrying myself as one who was abundantly supplied. I did not deny the facts of my current situation, but I refused to give them power over my consciousness. And then seemingly out of nowhere, opportunities began to present themselves. Doors began to open that I could not have anticipated. People entered my life bearing gifts that aligned perfectly with my needs. The bridge of incidents formed itself, leading me from the state of financial constraint to the state of abundance I had assumed in consciousness. This is the law that governs all manifestation. Consciousness is the only reality, and what you experience in the outer world is simply consciousness objectified. Therefore, to change your experience, you must change your consciousness. But changing consciousness is not a matter of positive thinking or wishful hoping. It is not about affirming affirmations or repeating mantras. It is about entering so completely into the state of your wish fulfilled that you temporarily forget all other states. It is about making your desired state so vivid, so real in your imagination that it displaces your awareness of the unwanted state. Let me offer you a practical approach to this divine art of assumption. Tonight, when you retire to sleep, lie upon your bed and relax your body completely. Then in your imagination, construct a scene that would imply your freedom from whatever condition has made you feel stuck. Make the scene as vivid and as real as you possibly can. For instance, if you feel stuck in a job that drains your energy and stifles your creativity, imagine a conversation with a friend in which you share your excitement about your new position, one that fulfills you and allows your talents to flourish. Hear your friend's congratulations. Feel the handshake or the embrace. Experience the relief and joy of having transcended the old limitation. Or perhaps you feel stuck in a relationship pattern that brings you pain. Imagine instead a conversation in which you describe to a trusted friend the wonderful harmony and love you now experience. Feel the satisfaction of having moved beyond the old pattern into a new state of mutual respect and affection. Whatever the specific circumstance that has made you feel stuck, create a scene that would naturally follow if you were now free from that limitation. Enter fully into this imaginal scene. Make it so real that for a brief time you forget you are imagining. Feel the feelings that the fulfilled wish would bring. Then, carrying this feeling, drift off to sleep. In doing this, you are planting the seed of your freedom in the fertile soil of consciousness. You are impressing upon the subconscious mind, which knows no limitations and possesses the power to transform your world, the reality of your wish fulfilled. And what is impressed upon the subconscious must be expressed in your world. Some of you may wonder, how long must I persist in this practice before I see results? The answer is you persist until the feeling of your wish fulfilled becomes more real to you than the feeling of being stuck. You persist until you have displaced the old state completely and dwell naturally in the new state. For some, this displacement may occur in a single night of profound imagining. For others, it may require repeated sessions of entering the state of the wish fulfilled. But know this, the law is infallible. What you assume you must become, what you impress upon consciousness, consciousness must express. Remember, time is a construct of the human mind. In the realm of true causation, the realm of consciousness, there is no time. The seed planted today may flower tomorrow or next week or next month. Your task is not to set the timetable for manifestation. Your task is simply to plant the seed with conviction and to tend it with fidelity to your assumption. Now, I understand that for many of you, the feeling of being stuck has persisted for so long that it seems like an unchangeable fact of your existence. Perhaps you've tried various methods to break free, positive thinking, goal setting, seeking advice from experts, and still the walls remain. This persistent experience can make it difficult to believe that freedom is truly possible for you. But I ask you to consider this: the very fact that you can conceive of freedom proves that it exists within your consciousness. And if it exists within your consciousness, it can be made manifest in your world. For consciousness is the only reality, and what exists in consciousness must, by the law of assumption, be expressed in experience. The Bible, when properly understood as a psychological drama rather than a historical document, reveals this truth. When the psalmist says, "He brought me forth also into a large place, He delivered me, because He delighted in me," he is describing the movement from a state of confinement to a state of freedom that occurs when one delights in or fully occupies a new state of consciousness. And in Isaiah we read, Enlarge the place of thy tent, and let them stretch forth the curtains of thy inhabitation. Spare not, lengthen thy cords, and strengthen thy stakes. This is not a command to physically expand one's dwelling. It is an invitation to expand consciousness, to move beyond the limited state in which one has been dwelling, and to occupy a larger, more expansive state. This expansion of consciousness is the true meaning of freedom. It is not merely freedom from external constraints, though that will follow, but freedom from the limited concepts, self and world, that have kept you bound to unwanted conditions. Consider the story of the Exodus, which is often read as a historical account of the Israelites' liberation from slavery in Egypt. But on a deeper level, it is the story of consciousness liberating itself from the bondage of limiting beliefs and assumptions. Egypt represents the state of limitation, the state of being stuck, and the journey to the promised land represents the movement of consciousness from limitation to freedom. But note well, before the Israelites could physically leave Egypt, they had to leave it in consciousness. They had to believe in the possibility of freedom before freedom could become their experience. This is the pattern of all liberation, first in consciousness, then in manifestation. So tonight, I invite you to begin your exodus from the Egypt of limitation. I invite you to cross the Red Sea of impossibility and to enter the wilderness of transformation, trusting that the promised land of your freedom awaits you. But how does one begin this journey? How does one take the first step toward freedom when feeling so completely stuck? The answer lies in the art of revision, the practice of mentally rewriting the events of your day to align with the state you wish to occupy. Each night, before you enter into the state of your wish fulfilled as you fall asleep, take a few moments to review the events of your day. Identify moments when you felt particularly stuck, when the walls seemed especially confining. Now in your imagination, rewrite these events. See them unfolding differently. Feel how you would have felt if in those moments you had experienced freedom rather than limitation. For instance, if during the day you had a conversation in which you felt small and powerless, revise that conversation. In your imagination, see yourself speaking with confidence and authority. Feel the satisfaction of expressing yourself fully and being received with respect. Or if you encountered a circumstance that seemed to confirm your state of being stuck, revise that circumstance. See it unfolding in a way that confirms your freedom instead. This practice of revision serves two powerful purposes. First, it prevents the accumulation of impressions that would reinforce the unwanted state. By revising the events of your day, you are ensuring that your subconscious is not being continually impressed with the feeling of being stuck. Second, it actively impresses upon the subconscious the feeling of the state you wish to occupy, the state of freedom. Over time, this practice will transform your habitual state of consciousness. And as your consciousness transforms, so must your world transform, for your world is nothing more than your consciousness objectified. But perhaps the most challenging aspect of this practice is maintaining fidelity to your new assumption in the face of persisting evidence to the contrary. The world, being a shadow of past states of consciousness, will for a time continue to reflect the old state even as you begin to dwell in the new. This persistence of the old reality can test your faith in the law, tempting you to abandon your assumption and return to the familiar if unwanted state of being stuck. This is why I emphasize the importance of dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled with such intensity, such completeness, that for those moments at least, the old state is entirely forgotten, for it is in these moments of complete absorption in the new state that the most powerful impressions are made upon the subconscious. I recall a student of mine who had been confined to a wheelchair for many years following an accident. All medical opinion confirmed that his condition was permanent, yet night after night, he would enter into the state of being whole and active. In his imagination, he would dance, run, climb stairs with ease. He would feel the strength in his legs, the freedom of movement, the joy of physical activity. For months there was no visible change in his condition. The evidence of his senses continued to testify to his limitation, but he remained faithful to his assumption. He continued to revise his days, replacing moments of limitation with imaginal experiences of freedom. He continued to fall asleep each night in the state of his wish fulfilled, and then gradually things began to change. Sensation began to return to parts of his body that had been numb. Small movements became possible where there had been none. Medical professionals were baffled but confirmed the changes, and over time, through what they called a miraculous recovery, he regained the full use of his body. Was this a miracle in the supernatural sense? No, it was the natural operation of the law of consciousness. He had so completely revised his concept of himself, so thoroughly impressed upon the subconscious the state of being whole and free, that the subconscious had no choice but to express this new concept in his physical experience. This same law operates in every sphere of your life. Whether you feel stuck in health, in wealth, in relationships, in career, the way out is the same. You must revise your concept of self. You must exchange your limited self-concept for an expanded one, and you must do this not merely as an intellectual exercise, but as a vivid, feelingful experience in imagination. For imagination is not, as many suppose, a faculty for daydreaming or escapism. Imagination is nothing less than consciousness itself in its creative aspect. It is the God power within you, the I am clothed in the specific forms of your assumptions. When you say, I am stuck, you are not merely describing your condition, you are invoking the creative power of the I am to produce and sustain that condition. And when you say, I am free, you are invoking that same power to produce and sustain freedom. The I am in you will become whatever you attach to it through feeling. This is why feelings are so crucial in the law of assumption. It is not enough to intellectually understand that you are not truly stuck, that the limitations you perceive are illusions of consciousness. You must feel your freedom. You must experience it so vividly in imagination that the feeling of being stuck is displaced completely, if only for a moment. Some may argue, but Wayne, the circumstances that make me feel stuck are real. They are not merely in my imagination. To this I would reply, yes, the circumstances appear real because they are the objectification of previous states of consciousness. They are the shadow cast by the light of consciousness. But shadows, no matter how dark they appear, cannot persist in the presence of light. When you shift your consciousness from the state of being stuck to the state of being free, you are turning on the light. And though the shadow may not disappear instantly, it must eventually give way to the light, for that is the law of consciousness. I invite you to test this law for yourself. Do not take my word for it. Do not believe it merely because it appeals to you intellectually. Test it in the laboratory of your own life. Apply the principles I have shared with you tonight to some area where you feel stuck and observe the results with the detachment of a scientist. Begin tonight. When you retire to sleep, revise the events of your day that reinforce the feeling of being stuck. Then enter fully into a scene that implies your freedom. Make it vivid. Feel it deeply. Carry this feeling as you drift off to sleep. Do this night after night and watch how your world begins to transform. Notice how opportunities appear that were not there before. Observe how circumstances rearrange themselves to accommodate your new state of consciousness. Marvel at the bridge of incidents that forms itself, leading you from the state of being stuck to the state of freedom you have assumed in consciousness. But a word of caution, do not look for science too eagerly in the beginning. Do not dig up the seed to see if it is growing. Allow the law to operate in its own time and in its own way. Your role is to plant the seed through assumption and to nurture it through fidelity to that assumption. The law will take care of the manifestation. I am reminded of a beautiful passage from Ecclesiastes. In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thine hand, for thou knowest not whether shall prosper either this or that, or whether they both shall be alike good. Sow the seed of your assumption in the morning of your consciousness, and sow it again in the evening. Do not try to determine which particular act of sowing will produce the harvest. Trust the law to bring forth the manifestation in its own perfect time. There is another aspect of the feeling of being stuck that I wish to address, for it can be particularly pernicious. Often the feeling of being stuck is accompanied by a sense of unworthiness, a belief that one does not deserve freedom, or that one has somehow caused one's own imprisonment through past mistakes or failures. This sense of unworthiness is itself a state of consciousness, and like all states, it can be exchanged for another. You need not justify your desire for freedom. You need not earn the right to live the life you wish to live. Freedom is your natural inheritance. It is the fundamental reality of your being. To claim it, you need only assume it as yours. In the scripture we read, your Father has pleased to give you the kingdom. The kingdom, the realm of infinite possibility of complete freedom, is already yours. It has already been given to you. Your task is not to earn it, but to accept it, to assume it, to enter into it through the portal of your imagination. So tonight, as you lie down to sleep, let go of all thoughts on worthiness. Release all beliefs that you must somehow qualify for the freedom you desire. Instead, assume the feeling of already being the person you wish to be, already living the life you wish to live, already possessing the freedom you seek. For in the realm of consciousness, in the realm of the real, there is no process of becoming. There is only being. You do not become free. You recognize the freedom that has always been yours. You do not achieve the fulfillment of your desires. You awaken to the fulfillment that has always existed within you. This is the great mystery to which all spiritual teachings point. What you are seeking, you already are. What you desire to possess, you already possess. The journey is not one of acquisition, but of recognition. When you truly understand this, the feeling of being stuck dissolves like mist in the morning sun. For how can you be stuck when you are consciousness itself, and consciousness is unlimited? How can you be confined when your true identity is the I am, and the I am knows no restrictions? Let me share with you one more practice that can help to dissolve the feeling of being stuck. Throughout your day, whenever you catch yourself feeling limited or confined, pause and ask yourself this question. What would the feeling be like if I were now the person I desire to be? How would I see this circumstance if I were now free from all limitations? Then, for just a moment, assume that feeling. Enter into it completely. Let it permeate your being. This momentary assumption, repeated throughout your day, will gradually transform your habitual state of consciousness. And as your consciousness transforms, so must your world transform. Remember the words attributed to Jesus. The truth shall make you free, but what is this truth that liberates? It is the truth of your own being that you are pure consciousness, that you are the operant power, that the world is your consciousness pushed out. When you know this truth, not merely intellectually, but through the direct experience of testing it in your own life, you will never again feel permanently stuck in any circumstance, for you will have discovered the secret of liberation. The prison that seemed to confine you was built by your own imagination, and what imagination has constructed, imagination can deconstruct. The walls that appeared so solid were made of assumptions, and assumptions can be changed. This is the freedom I offer you tonight. Not freedom from certain circumstances, but freedom from the belief that circumstances have power over you. Not freedom from conditions, but freedom from the assumption that conditions can contain the infinite being that you are. Test this law of assumption. Apply it to your own feeling of being stuck. Enter fully into the state of your wish fulfilled and observe how the universe rearranges itself to accommodate your new concept of self. For that is the promise of the law: as a man assumes, so he becomes. And know this, there is no limitation in consciousness itself. The only limitations are those you accept through your assumptions. Therefore, assume freedom, and freedom must become your experience. Assume abundance, and abundance must flow into your life. Assume love, and love must surround you. For consciousness is the only reality, and what you assume in consciousness must be made manifest in your world. The choice is yours. You can continue to assume the state of being stuck, and your experience will continue to validate that assumption. Or you can assume the state of freedom and watch as the universe conspires to make that assumption a reality. Begin tonight as you fall asleep. Enter so completely into the feeling of your wish fulfilled that the feeling of being stuck is utterly forgotten. Do this night after night and test the law for yourself. For the promise is true if you know these things. Happy are you if you do them. The practice I have outlined for you is simple, but it requires discipline and persistence. It requires that you be faithful to your assumption even when all the evidence of your senses contradicts it. But the rewards of this faithfulness are beyond measure. For in assuming the state of freedom, you are not merely changing your circumstances. You are awakening to the truth of your being. You are recognizing the divine power that has been yours from the beginning. This recognition is the true meaning of salvation, not salvation from an external threat, but salvation from the limited concept of self that has kept you bound to unwanted conditions. It is awakening to the truth that sets you free. So tonight, as you leave this place, carry with you this knowledge. The feeling of being stuck is not your natural state. It is an assumed condition, and what has been assumed can be relinquished. Freedom is your birthright, your natural inheritance, the fundamental reality of your being. Claim it through the divine art of assumption and watch as the prison walls that seem so solid dissolve like shadows of the light of your own awakened consciousness. For you are not a prisoner unless you believe yourself to be one. You are not stuck unless you assume yourself to be stuck. You are free eternally, completely free when you awaken to the truth of your own infinite being. Begin the practice tonight. Enter the state of freedom through the portal of your imagination. Feel it with all the intensity you can muster and know that as you assume this state, as you make it real in your consciousness, it must become real in your experience. For that is the law, that is the promise, that is the truth that sets you free. Remember, always consciousness is the only reality and you are consciousness. Therefore, you are the reality behind all appearances. You are the power that shapes your world. You are the freedom you seek. Go now and test this truth for yourself. For in testing it, you will discover the greatest secret of all. The key to your freedom has been in your possession all along. It is your own wonderful human imagination, the God power within you clothed in the specific forms of your assumptions. Use this power wisely. Use it lovingly. Use it to liberate yourself from all limitations, and as you experience the freedom that is your natural state, share this knowledge with others who still feel stuck, that they too might awaken to the truth of their being. For this is why we are here, not merely to seek our own liberation, but to help awaken all humanity to the glorious truth that sets everyone free. The truth that there is no power outside of consciousness, the truth that what we assume we become, the truth that freedom is not a destination to be reached, but a present reality to be recognized. So tonight assume the state of freedom, feel its reality, live from it, and watch as your world transforms to reflect the new concept of self you have assumed. For that is the promise of the law, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The renewal begins tonight in the quiet sanctuary of your own imagination. It begins with the simple but profound act of assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It begins with the recognition that the prison that seemed to confine you is built of assumptions, and what has been built can be dismantled. The tools are in your hands, the power is within you, the choice is yours. Choose freedom. Choose it now, not as a future possibility, but as a present reality. Feel its presence, embody its truth, and from this new state of consciousness, watch as the universe conspires to set you free. For that is the law, that is the promise, that is the truth that liberates all who discover it and apply it in their lives. The feeling of being stuck is not your natural state. Freedom is your birthright. Claim it through the divine art of assumption, and it must become your experience. For consciousness is the only reality, and you are consciousness itself expressing in the specific forms of your assumptions. Assume freedom, and freedom shall be yours. This is the law, this is the promise, this is the truth that sets you free. The Bible, which I have always maintained, is not a historical document, but a psychological drama. Tells us in Proverbs, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." What is this heart that we must guard so carefully? It is not the physical organ crumping blood through your veins, but the center of your being, your consciousness, your awareness, your I am. When you focus on yourself, you are turning to the only creative power in your world. You are acknowledging that what you are conscious of being, you will express in your outer world. This is the fundamental law of manifestation that has been taught in veiled language throughout all sacred texts. You do not know that the kingdom of heaven is within you, that you need not look to external circumstances, to other people, or to future events for your good. All that you seek is already present within your consciousness, awaiting your recognition and acceptance. The world may tell you to focus outwardly, to study the actions of others, to compete, to strive, to force changes in your environment. But I tell you that such effort is unnecessary when you understand the law of consciousness. For when you change your inner state, your outer world must conform to that change. It has no choice, for it is only the shadow of your inner reality. And what of this silence that I urge you to maintain? It is not merely the absence of speech, though that is indeed part of it. The silence I speak of is a profound iniquitude, a refusal to contradict in thought, word, or deed the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. In the book of Exodus, we find these words, "The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace." This is the true meaning of staying silent. It is allowing the law, your own wonderful human imagination, to do its perfect work without interference from your doubting, reasoning mind. How many times have you planted a seed of desire in your consciousness only to dig it up repeatedly with your doubts and fears? How often have you declared that a thing is so, only to contradict it moments later with anxious thoughts? This is the very opposite of maintaining silence. The silence I advocate is a complete mental acceptance that what you have imagined is now reality in the spiritual realm, and therefore must inevitably materialize in your experience. It is a calm knowing, a peaceful certainty that needs no outer confirmation. Let me share with you a simple technique that has helped countless individuals to focus on themselves and maintain this creative silence. When you retire at night, lie flat on your back with your head upon a pillow, close your eyes and completely relax your body. Now bring your attention to your breathing, not to control it, but simply to observe its natural rhythm. As your body relaxes and your mind begins to quiet, turn your attention inward. Become aware of yourself as pure consciousness as the observer, not the things observed. Feel the reality of your own existence apart from all conditions and circumstances. Now from this state of self-awareness, begin to imagine a scene that would imply the fulfillment of your desire. See it clearly, feel it to be real, and allow yourself to become emotionally involved in this imaginal act. Feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction of having already attained what you seek. This is focusing on yourself, on your own creative consciousness. And as you fall asleep in this state, you are maintaining the silence that allows the seed to take root in the soil of your subconscious mind. Do not wake in the morning and immediately begin to question whether your imaginal act was effective. Do not look to your external world for immediate signs of change. Instead, maintain your silence. Go about your day from the calm center of knowing that what you have imagined must come to pass, for that is the law. The Bible tells us, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness, this silence is not inactivity. It is the most powerful form of action possible, for it aligns you with the creative forces of the universe itself. Consider the words of the psalmist. I said, "I will take heed to my ways, that I sin not with my tongue. I will keep my mouth with a bridle while the wicked is before me. I was dumb with silence. I held my peace even from good, and my sorrow was stirred." This passage beautifully illustrates the challenge and the power of maintaining silence. Even when confronted with conditions that seem to deny our desires, while the wicked is before me, we must hold our peace. We must refuse to give voice to doubt, fear, or contradiction. Let me tell you of a lady who came to me in distress. Husband had left her for another woman, and she was consumed with jealousy, anger, and the desperate need to take action to reclaim him. She asked what she should do. Should she confront the other woman? Should she beg her husband to return? Should she seek legal counsel? I told her to do nothing outwardly. Instead, I instructed her to focus on herself, on her own consciousness, and to create there the state of being happily married. Each night she was to fall asleep feeling the presence of her husband beside her, hearing his voice express